All right. Good morning, everyone. This is the Grant County Gang coming at you with another interview. Today, I have the pleasure of having with me Mr. Cain Nattin, and I'm going to let him go ahead and take it off and introduce himself and get this interview started.
Good morning. My name's Cain Nattin. As most of you probably seen some yard signs out and about, I am running for mayor of Sheridan this fall. Election day is definitely approaching. It's November the 8th. I've really just did a lot of thinking and praying and decided to put my name out there and give it a shot, and super excited to potentially be stepping into City Hall if elected.
Yeah, that's awesome, and really it just takes those steps in order to make that process work. So the biggest step is taking that leap of faith and just letting God and working towards the rest and the solution. So awesome. Well, it's a pleasure meeting you, and for everyone else and anyone who hasn't met Mr. Nattin, here he is. And so we're going to get to know a little bit about him. So how long have you lived here in Sheridan?
Well, what kind of stands me out is I've lived here my entire life. Besides the moment I was born in the doctor's hospital, which no longer is around in the city of Little Rock. But I was born there, and I was brought home back to Grant County. I was
Grant County Gang.
About probably 4 days old, and I've been here ever since. I've moved from Prattsville to south of town to the Shiloh area, Grant 13 area, and then of course I lived with my parents divorced, and I went back and forth from the Shiloh area to right downtown. So I've been here my whole life. Went to school here, and just,
well, great. Well, that was going to be my next question, but you summed it up. If it's your whole life, well, then there's no point in asking that. So next question then, to follow up with that, what keeps you here? What makes you really enjoy and cherish and love the Sheridan community?
I growing up here, I've made tons of family friends. I've made lifelong friends. I graduated in 2015 right out of high school, and decided to stay here. I said, this is a town where I love here. I loved being raised here. Mm-hmm. My wife, who is also from here, loved being raised here. And we decided, we want to raise a family in this town because it's just a great place. It has great values. Everyone's down to earth here.
I agree.
And it's just a great community to raise a family in.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Not only to raise a family, but to work here. It's safe. Our town is safe. Our police officers, our fire department, it keeps our town safe. And it's just a great place to raise a family, and I think everybody will agree that Sheridan is one of the best places in the state, let alone the country, to raise a family.
It is. It's kind of like secluded a little bit, or it's not known as broadly as the rest of the state, but that's what kind of preserves it and keeps it the close-knit community that we have and the relationships that we have and are able to build off of. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the whole kind of point in all this for me, is being able to network and get to, but not that you meet people like yourself, essentially. And not that this is on me, I'm all about you today, but I sympathize with that statement so much, so I value it. So during your time here, what's changed over the course of your life that you've noticed significantly to Sheridan?
Well, several things have actually changed. I was the senior when the millage passed for the high school, the school district. Mm-hmm. And that dramatically changed. I think once the millage passed, it brought a lot more people into our city that wanted our kids involved in our school district. I was around Sheridan when there wasn't a bypass.
Right.
I think a lot of people thought that when we started it that it was never going to finish, but I remember that the only way really to Little Rock was right through the center of town. Infrastructure's changed.
Yeah.
The community's changed, but the one thing that hasn't changed, I think, is the people. People are the same around here, and just great place that it continues to change. I think our town's growing. Our population's grown. Our census has even grown. And I think that there's a little issue with the census. I think they're contesting it to see if we get over that 5,000 citizen count. I think it was just under 5,000, but I'm not a guessing man or a
Right.
betting man, but I would say that our city's potentially over that 5,000.
It could be.
range.
I mean, now the death rates are being extended because
Yep.
of our medical care, and then birth rates are being increased. So, and the demand for areas such as this, for development purposes, as well as extending out from the exteriors parts of inner city life, that's what really is keeping people focused on this. It's like that small city life that everyone wishes they still had, and or they miss rather after it's gone. And so it kind of innately brings us back to our true values in a sense. So but yeah, anyway, so going on to that's great to hear about your personal life and everything, and your personal point of view, and going to the business aspect, and for your candidacy and everything. What qualifies you exactly to run position? Let's talk about some of that.
I like I said, I've graduated. I've gone through high school, went to a 4-year seminary college. Not that would ever qualify anyone to be mayor. A seminary degree, kind of good for preachers, great for public service. What really qualifies anyone for and I hate even calling it a political position, because you really want to keep politics out of the mayor's office, because the mayoral position is never really about politics. It's all about building a relationship and being a servant. If you're ever going to be a leader in a community, you've got to be willing to first listen, and you've got to be willing to serve. The best leaders are the best servants. You've got to be able to be a servant.
People first.
Yeah, people first. As a student pastor and a kind of a right-hand man to the pastor here at First Landmark, I've developed those qualities of building relationships with people.
Right.
You walked in my office, and we've talked a little bit on the phone. But it's building a relationship through the small things.
Of course.
You said you were from Louisiana, and that's where all my grandfather and above are from. And it's those small connections that develop a relationship.
Of course.
I talk to students all the time, and I tell them, there's a connection in this room between everyone. Even if it's the smallest thing that you like a lot of salt on your popcorn, no matter what it is, there's a connection between everyone, and we've got to be able to build relationships. The current mayor has to be able to build relationships. Whoever's elected in November has to be able to develop relationships to form a better community. But that's all about being a servant and a listener.
I agree.
You've got to be able to be a servant, and you got to be able to serve people.
That's a great way of looking at it.
That the best leader is a servant and a listener.
Yeah.
And that's what I intend to do if elected. Is I plan to serve people, continuing to serve people, and listening to their wants, their needs. There are wants and there are needs.
Of course.
But you've got to be able to be a good listener. That's what makes a quality leader and qualifies people for any type of position. Like I said, we've got to keep, and I love that the mayor's position is a nonpartisan position, solely because we've got to keep politics out of that office, because that is a voice for the people. That is exactly what the mayor is. It's a voice for all citizens, not just some, all of them. Yeah,
and it's starting to me personally, it's starting to look like politics are overwhelming everybody in a sense, to where I feel like maybe if we remove that element and just focus on the needs of the people and serve them like you just said, then really everything will be accomplished through that, rather than just basing it off of a political view and rather a community need. So that's fantastic. That's sweet. Well, I'm not going to I could talk about that, but again, this is about you. I want to know more about you. So with that being said, what are your goals coming into the future on if you were to be elected?
That's a great question. One thing that I personally believe that we need for the city is someone who's willing to write grants. For a city our size, we need to be able to look for grants that we qualify for, and be willing to write those grants. I just went through a online certification, a grant writing class, and it was very interesting.
I bet,
because a lot of people think you can just apply for any type of grant that you want to, when there are qualifications for certain grants that you have to qualify for. So I personally believe that we need to, write grants. I planned, and I told people this at I had a campaign event last month, and I told people that my first year, if elected, I would write till my hand bleeds applying for grants, because our city needs money. And I'm a firm believer in we want to build these awesome things for our city, but there are buildings that we have in our city that the city owns that we need to pour money back into and take care of.
I agree.
We need to invest in our current holdings. But one thing a big goal of mine, and this is what you'll see on some of my posters or my push cards, is I plan to keep Sheridan safe. That's my main goal in office, is keep Sheridan safe.
That's awesome.
Whether it's through infrastructure, parks and recreation, public safety, whatever it is, I want to keep Sheridan safe.
That's awesome.
And that needs to be a goal, is keeping Sheridan safe, keeping the citizens safe, because this is home. This is home for people. This is home for young couples, married couples with kids, and our seniors that need protected, that need to feel safe when they're at home, and they should feel safe. And three aspects of keeping Sheridan safe are our infrastructure. I plan to work with all department heads, whether it's the water department head, the police chief, fire chief, no matter who it is, I want to work with them to establish goals that all revolve around keeping Sheridan safe.
Okay, very cool. And I like that, because a lot of that aligns with my values in coming in here, which I'm not going to go into any details with that, but I can say, as from a point for me, what I care about and value and cherish and try to do for the community is literally exactly what you said, is put money back into the infrastructure that is going down and withering away, becoming decrepit, and then make it to where property values appreciate and people all benefit collectively from it. So that's what I try to do, but I'm not going to go into it anymore. So next question for you. What is commonly brought to your attention as a problem in Sheridan that may not actually affect you?
Like I said, I had several events, and I've been going out and door knocking, and it's been nice and cool for door knocking, if you know that. But
sweating like crazy.
I've heard some needs, and you mentioned it this morning, and I hate to bring you back up, but you mentioned you just went to drop your children off at a daycare, and it wasn't even in the city.
Yes.
And that's something that I think our city desperately needs, and that's childcare.
Yeah.
Whether it's for the babies or for the young kiddos, there's parents driving to East End, to ICO, outside of the city to drop their kids off.
Yeah.
And that's it doesn't affect me now. Me and my wife have yet to have children. We plan to in the future, Lord willing, and that will affect us soon. It doesn't affect us right now. Another is I had a gentleman come to me and say, "Cain, we have great tennis courts out at our rec center." We do. My wife played college tennis, and I'm horrible at it. But we go out there and we play every now and then, and we have great tennis courts. But this gentleman said, "Cain, as I'm a little bit older, but I'd love to see some pickleball courts."
Yeah.
And from what I could tell, it's not really different, tennis and pickleball. It's a different ball and rackets, but if it's a need that a citizen needs, and I think there's several people that want pickleball courts. I don't even know what pickleball is. I've watched a few videos on it after he brought it to my attention, and I think that's something we could look at. And there's several things. I've talked with people at our animal shelter, our pound out near the detention center. There's several needs that personally don't affect me, but it goes back to what I said earlier. If there's ever going to be a leader in the mayor's office, they have to be a listener, and they have to be a servant.
It's very true.
Listening to the people's needs, and that's what I plan to do as mayor. I'm sure the other candidates agree with me that we have to listen to our people's needs and be servants to these people, be a voice for the people. And there's several needs that were brought to my attention that don't affect me, but as a citizen here in this town, it might not affect me now, but it could in a year, could in 6 months, could in a few weeks. And we've just got to be able to be a servant and listen to our people.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. Well, I really appreciate your time and everything. And we kind of went through the questions, but you hit it, nail on, or the tip of the nail, Ed, and with every statement that you had and every response. So I appreciate that and appreciate your time. Sure. And if you would, for the people, go ahead and let them know, give them some credentials and ways to be able to get in contact with you.
Well, first and foremost, I have a few business cards around. They have my logo on the front. You're welcome to call me at my cell phone. It's 870-941-0094. I answer most calls unless your number looks kind of shady. I might send you to my voicemail, but I'd love to hear your concerns. And like I said, I want to be a servant in the mayor's office, and I'd love to answer any of your questions, comments, concerns that you may have. I have a Facebook page. It's Cain Nattin for Sheridan Mayor. I'd love for you to reach out on there. We have some great events coming up soon. We plan to be out at the fair and at Timberfest and getting people information. I want you to stay. I want you to stay informed. I want no one in the city of Sheridan to go to the polls this November not knowing who to vote for. I think that it's our job as candidates to provide you with information for you to make the decision that you need to make in the voting booth. I look forward, if elected, to serving you and being a servant. That's what I am right now. I'm a youth pastor here at First Landmark, and I really enjoy being a servant for the members and the kiddos here at our church. And if you have any questions, just feel free to comment, and let me know. Give me a call.
Yep. So. Awesome. Well, that's it for us. I'm Ethan Colbert again, and this is the Grant County Gang. I'm with Century 21, Parker & Scroggins Realty, and EC Properties Investments Property Management. Be sure to go out there and and vote on November 8th, you said? So November 8th, make sure to be there to vote for Mr. Whoever your choice is. But Mr. Nattin here put in a good word and has some good core values. As well as Ben Hammond and the other candidates. So again, Century 21, Parker & Scroggins Realty. Come to me for any of your real estate needs or property management. Thank you. Have a great one. Bye.